Bienvenidos and welcome back to Puro Pinche Gol, the podcast where we discuss all things USMNT y la selección mexicana. My name is Adrian. Joining me once again my co-host Tocayo, Adrian. Adrian, all the way from Monterrey. How are you, man?
Hey, what's up, dude? Over here enjoying mis tierras and having some decent weather in Monterrey. So not too bad, yeah.
Surprisingly, it's normally super hot in
real.
October.
Yeah.
But that's good, man. Glad you're able to go over there and enjoy time with your family and friends and have a good time. So, see you back here in Texas in a couple days. But yeah, in the meantime, enjoy it, man. But here we're going to be previewing a big match, big friendly. Normally these partido moleros, these international breaks that aren't, actual FIFA dates or that aren't FIFA, meaningful matches for World Cup qualifying or Nations League or Gold Cup tend to be kind of on the boring side. But every time Mexico and USA play, man, it's a good one, good time. Even though it might be a dirty match, it might be a 0-0. It's always a lot of hype around, especially this time. I think this is the most hyped USMNT versus Mexico match friendly in a long time. Not just because it's the first time they're playing in Mexico, in Guadalajara specifically, in a long time since the 2022 World Cup qualifier, right? That which they are required to play in Mexico. But the first time in a long time that they make an actual friendly down there. The first time Pochettino faces USMNT's rivals, Mexico. Javieraguirre has obviously faced them in the past. It's an interesting one for both sides due to the fact that for Mexico, for one, there are some injuries like Santi Jimenez, Henry Martin just went down, some important injuries, but at the same time, they have some players coming in playing really key football. Raul Jimenez, Edson Alvarez, a lot of players coming in form. While on the other hand, this is probably USMNT's most depleted side in a while in terms of injuries. So how that will stack up, we'll get into it. But yeah, man, Adrian, they play in Guadalajara. Going to be an interesting match. What are your first initial thoughts before we really dive into our analysis here?
This is the biggest match that Javier Aguirre is going to have for, I think, a while. You know that today, Saturday, they're playing against Valencia. And as much as we thought that was going to be an interesting match, it's becoming just another Molero because of the state of Valencia. How they're one of the worst teams in La Liga, in addition to not having all the starting players. But I digress. I think this is going to be the match for Javier Aguirre. This is his first big challenge in this region of the world. And we'll see what he is made of. If there's a match that he cannot lose, forget about winning, but if there's a match that he cannot lose, this is it. This is the one match that he cannot afford to have a shoddy display. He cannot afford to have a just like being humiliated, right? This is not the time for him for that. And in addition to that, we'll also see a couple of new faces on the roster with Germán Berterame, Rodrigo Huescas, Obed Vargas. All of those three names that I think are very interesting players for La Selección Mexicana, specifically for me, Obed Vargas, who is, as we said on our roster reaction, a player that brings depth to a specific portion of the pitch that Mexico lacks. Lacks a big pool of talent or available players for that specific role of the central defensive midfielder. But overall, I think this is going to be a very, very as they say in Mexico, juego morboso, with a lot of morbo in it. Not only because, as we know, La Selección Mexicana has been falling out with fans, both in the US and Mexico. The game against Valencia has been one of the ones with the least amount of interest in the recent history. And then, even though the one in Guadalajara, of course, sold out because it's against the USMNT, a lot of the pundits and people here are saying that it's not because the fans want to support Mexico or, chant for them, but more for go and heckle them Ochoa, freaking start yelling things to the players. Like they want to show their I guess discomfort and disapproval exactly of what's been happening with La Selección Mexicana. So it's going to be interesting to see how the fans react on this match.
Yeah, and on the opposite side of that coin, I think this is one that, as much as he won't want to lose, Mauricio Pochettino can afford to lose. He's still in that early on honeymoon phase where he really can't do anything wrong. He's a new, hot, sexy, big hire. The one that, when you take from, you go up from Triple G to Pochettino, he's going to have all the fans on his side, all the media on his side. No matter what he can do, he can lose 3-4-0. And I think everybody will be like, oh, it's an adjustment period. It's the first training. It was a friendly, blah, blah, blah. But again, he doesn't want to lose this. I think he's mentioned in interviews, he knows about the intensity of the rivalry, the meaning of the rivalry, the importance of the rivalry. the recent history of the rivalry. So for him, I think, and his nature, his competitive nature, his competitive spirit, he'll want to win this for sure. The players want to win this, but this is definitely, like I said in the beginning of the video, a very depleted USMNT. Thankfully for them, they have a lot of depth. So when players did go down, they were able to bring in players that again don't have a substantial drop from the level. I think that the biggest down and substantial drop was Balogun going down and having to replace him with Brandon Vasquez, who's not playing well or hardly for Monterrey at this point. Right? But again, he has other options up there. But let's kind of go into recent history, Adrian. Recent history that has been favorable for one team and not the other. I think we were saying since 2019 that Mexico does not win against USA. How do those matches since 2019 look?
So if we're correctly, since 2019 was the last time Mexico defeated the USMNT 3-0 back in September 6th. And I believe Tata Mezquino was still the coach of Mexico. But if we go down the list, 2021, all W's for the USMNT on CONCACAF Nations League, that 3-2, on CONCACAF Gold Cup, the 1-0, and then a FIFA World Cup qualifier on the 12th of November, 2021, with a W for the USMNT. On 2022 and 2023 was 2 draws, one on FIFA World Cup qualifier and another in an international friendly in 2023. I believe that's going to be the Clásico All-State or whatever, and then the last 2 matches, June 15 of 2023, that big blowout and how the USMNT just completely obliterated Mexico in the Nations League. And then again, 2-0 against the USMNT, I think in the most recent CONCACAF Nations League final, right? If I'm not mistaken.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I mean, recent history from 2020 forward. COVID changed everything. USMNT has been dominant against Mexico. Just seeing that effect of having all those players in Europe, right? I think has really, amongst other things that we made countless videos about how Mexico's not at the level they should be. But let's talk formations. Let's talk lineups, possible lineups here. Pochettino came out and said, we know in one of his first interviews that he's not going to revolutionize something on his first, training session, his first matches. He's going to play with some systems that the players are used to, kind of use that and tweak that and modify that after his first, international window. So we know the USMNT and Greg Berhalter were comfortable with 4-3-3. Pochettino mentions that he'll be playing 4-3-3 or 4-2-3-1. And so I think it's safe to say at that point that it's going to be a familiar system and a familiar style of play, at least, this first window for USMNT. As far as who plays, I think that's a little difficult in some sections. Goalkeeper specifically, we don't know who he'll play. He'll probably start Turner against Mexico. Defenders, I think center backs are going to be Mark McKenzie and Tim Ream. On the left and right side is going to be Anthony Robinson, Joe Scally. Midfielders, I can see Weston McKennie playing, Yunus Musa playing, and Malik Tillman playing. And up top, I can see starting Ricardo Pepi as number 9 with Christian Pulisic and Brendan Aronson on the left and right there in the starting lineup. I think we'll see Hajiwright maybe come in and play one of those wide roles, and Brandon Vasquez coming in and playing that number 9 position as a sub. But I think a formation that we're all familiar with and a lineup that more or less, bearing a few new faces, it's a familiar lineup. How do you think Mexico's going to stack up?
All right, so I think the formation that Mexico's going to have, no brainer, is going to follow the same ones that we saw on the September friendlies. I think a back 4, 2 center midfielders, 3 attacking midfielders, and 1 lone striker. The way that I think it's gonna play out is we're gonna have the big question here is who's gonna be the starting keeper for this match. Maybe we'll see Memo Ochoa as the chosen for the game against USMNT. No brainer on the defense. I think is going to be Cesar Montes or Johan Vasquez as the 2 center backs. There's no other choices. I believe we should see Jesus Angulo on the left, and then most likely we'll see either Jorge Sanchez on the right. I think that's going to be the defense. On the midfield, I think for sure we're going to see Luis Romo, and we're going to see most likely Charlie Rodriguez. No, sorry, Luis Romo and Edson Alvarez. Those are going to be the 2 central pivots. Then we're going to have, I think, the lone striker for sure for this match is going to be Raul Jimenez. I think there's no questions asked. Now that Henry Martin is down due to an injury, Raul Jimenez is on fire in Premier League, so it just makes sense that he is a lone striker. The 3 on the back, or the 3 behind him, I think will be if I'm not mistaken. Charlie Rodriguez, which again we're not a fan of him. El Chino Huerta, and I believe Alexis Vega. I think those are the three ones that he'll use. You know what? Let me go back. Not Alexis Vega, El Piojo Alvarado. I think El Piojo Alvarado will start ahead of Alexis Vega against the USMNT, and that's going to be the lineup for the match.
Yeah, so a very youth-centric lineup there for Vasco Aguirre.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
So yeah, man, it's going to be an interesting match, a battle there in the midfield for sure. Nice to see Edson Alvarez back, and like we said, Raul Jimenez is on fire for his club. Yeah. Prediction time, Adrian. It's going to be. I think this one's one of the harder ones to predict, just because of so many new X factors. Normally it's always USMNT Mexico in USA. Greg Berhalter versus I guess the Mexico one has been kind of off the last couple of years. It's been Tata Martino. It's been Miguel Coca. It's been Jimmy Lozano. So it was always consistency on the USMNT side, but Mexico always the carousel of managers, right? And that continues obviously here. But 2 new managers, 2 fresh faces, some fresh players, some new players, some players coming back from injury, a lot of injured players. So it's definitely a hard one to predict. But I'm thinking a 2-1 win for Mexico.
2-1 win for Mexico. And that's bold, dude. That's a bold.
I just think playing prediction at home, even though they're going to be getting booed by their fans, it's going to be, I don't know, this USMNT team, Triple G had them weak mentality. Obviously, Pochettino's the new coach now, but I mean, it takes time to get that coddled mentality out of them. And they were so used to playing in the States, playing in a hostile environment. Even though it's going to be a hostile environment, more so for Mexico probably. I think it'll be too much for them. But yeah, what are your predictions?
That I think my prediction is that El Vasco Aguirre is going to come out to not lose the match and see if he can win on one of those surprise counterattacks. I think it's going to be either a 0-0 or a 1-1 kind of a situation. I don't think Mexico is going to come out all guns blazing trying to win the match. I think it's going to be a very very
calculated
tough
match.
Yeah, but for me, it's going to be more on Mexican side. I'm pretty sure it's going to be very rough, very tough. They're going to be, giving freaking kicks to go. They're going to be tackling the players on a regular basis. I think it's going to be a very muddy match from the Mexico side, just because they don't want to lose, and that's why I see the likes of Jesus Angulo and Jorge Sanchez, that they might not be the best offensive right back and left back, but they can do a dirty job if needed. So I think that's going to be the case.
Yeah, and it could be. I agree with you that it could be a tie easily, just because calculated maneuvers from both coaches. Maybe since it's such an important match, El Clásico, they are probably just if it's tied after 70 minutes, can settle on a draw, just so none of them look particularly bad. If one loses, one will definitely look bad, right? Losing this match.
Exactly.
Yeah, so let us know in the comments below. What are your thoughts on this match in terms of predictions, score predictions? Are you more so in Adrian's lane here, thinking of a tie? Do you think Mexico's going to win like I do? Do you think USMNT's going to win? Let us know definitely in the comments below. Adrian, man, as we wrap up this episode, brother, where can listeners find us?
They can always find us on YouTube. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, and turn on the notifications. You can also find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast on. Last but not least, you can also find us on Instagram, TikTok. We post memes, latest news, and shorts of our episodes.
So be sure to follow us on your preferred social media platform of choice. And like I said, let us know in the comments what your thoughts, what your hype is for this match. Interesting one here, going to be played in Guadalajara. Something we don't see all too often within this rivalry. So yeah, let us know if you're hyped for this match, and make sure to subscribe and keep it here at PPG. Adrian, another good one. See you in the next one, brother.
Take it easy, man.
See ya.
Deuce.